out of 109 senators, we only have 4 women. A woman in the Senate complains that the Senate president is sexually harassing her. And 1 out of the meager 4 women in the Senate was the first significant Nigerian woman to run to a national television station to condemn her fellow woman when her fellow woman came crying. The first ignorant Nigerian woman to challenge Senator Akpoti's right to speak up was this ignorant Federal Capital Territory minister. Her day will come, and she thinks the best way to serve Nigeria is to kiss up to chauvinistic men in the Senate.
Is it okay to break institutional rules in the path to advocating for what is right?
It is not okay to break institutional rules. It is okay to challenge institutional rules. There are some of them that you need to bring to the fore.
Hello, everybody. Once again, this is Fred Nwankwo coming to you from our studios in Chicago with another edition of Bold Talk on Island TV. And as usual, I like to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, depending on where you are around the world. When things happen in Nigeria, you start to see how corrupt Nigeria is. Because as endangered as women are in Nigeria, and as much as they are abused, it amazed me to see how many women were supporting the abusive men, in this case against Senator Natasha Akpoti.
The reasons why rules get better is that there are some rules, when you look at them, they are not just, they are not either not ethical, or they just don't make sense. And in challenging them, you get them to be changed.
These are definitely conversations we should be having. Unfortunately, Nigerians are quick to blow with the wind, and immediately this Senate ruling came out yesterday that Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan had been suspended. You had even people you expected to question it and challenge it, relaxing like if life goes on. I'd like you to listen to what a senator said in a similar situation that didn't get blown out of proportion because 1 or 2 senators came to his rescue.
When I publicly disclosed the salaries and allowances of the senators, it nearly earned me a 6-month suspension, if not for divine intervention of Saraki and Ekore Madu's immediate rescue. Just know that if you are there and you blow whistle too loudly, you will be on your own. No senator will bring him head or neck to support you.
I'm showing these tweets to kind of demonstrate precedence on how the Senate got this bad. Every time there is a voice from within the Senate that is raising a concern that the public should be concerned about, every time these senators raise questions that are in the interest of Nigerians, the default within the Senate is suspend them. The injustice is not going to be tolerated. And I think Nigerians in this woman have met their match. She may have lost the war, but the battle continues.
This injustice will not be sustained. The pursuit for justice.
She was about to speak there. They turned off her mic. She was not allowed to be heard before the petition was delivered.
The real shame is that there are 4 women in that Senate, including Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. Not a single one of those women stood up to defend this woman. Nobody knows how much she has tolerated by this sexual harassing Senate president. And there has been a lot of quiet battle going on between Senator Akpoti and the sexual harassing Senate president. She finally had enough. But not a single female senator in Nigeria's Senate stood up for their fellow woman, all to cover the ass of the men that helped them chop Nigeria's money. And the disgraceful lady from the Federal Capital Territory, Senator Kingigbe, a lady who came crying because the crooked Federal Territory Minister Wike, was harassing the heck out of her. She came crying, and Nigerians rallied around her when her fellow woman came crying. The first ignorant Nigerian woman to challenge Senator Akpoti's right to speak up was this ignorant Federal Capital Territory minister. Her day will come. With all that said, I want to say thank you to Oby Ezekwesili, the most significant Nigerian female voice to date that has come out and unequivocally stood with Senator Akpoti. I thank her, and I hope Nigerian women of goodwill and Nigerians of goodwill are going to stand up and salute Oby Ezekwesili and any other voices, definitely the voices on Arise News, Ayo Eshe, Ojiokbe, and similar voices. May God bless them. But this war they may have won the war, but we are going to win the battle. And the abused, sexually harassed Nigerian women are going to win the battle. This battle is not about Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. This battle is about the voiceless millions of Nigerian women that have no voice and have no godfathers, that are abused on a daily basis. Where did hookup come from? It's from the abuse of men that has reduced women to inability to protect themselves just to make a living. Let's listen to Oby Ezekwesili.
Let me take Oby Ezekwesili's tweet. She wrote, I hope those senators in the chamber of the Nigerian Senate today and the ones who conveniently disappeared all heard the last word of their inspiringly bold and unbowed colleague, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. She courageously said, as she left the chamber today, this injustice shall not be sustained. The wise among them will be haunted by this until her words surely come to pass. The unwise among them will not even understand what she said. For all of us that care about our democratic process and principle, we're glad that she said what she said. A woman like Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. And that really is how I want to start this conversation.
Folks, that may be how Ojiokbe wants to start the conversation on Arise News TV. But on Bold Talk tonight, in conclusion to this episode, here is how I want to conclude this conversation. This mess going on with Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan is sad And it's not going to stop with her unless, as Nigerians, we collectively start addressing the problems that exist in Nigeria. The shame of our nation is not simply what happened in the Senate yesterday. That's simply a symptom of the decadence that us, all of us as Nigerians, have allowed to continue. Our president, folks, is a drug dealer. Our vice president is a Boko Haram funder. There's ample evidence to show these things. The Senate president, who is in the center of this storm, there's nothing to surprise us. He's a serial sexual harasser. This is not the first time this has happened. It happened at NDDC or whatever the Niger Delta Corporation is, where he harassed the director. In normal societies, it doesn't make it right, but voiceless people get harassed. You don't have senators and directors of major corporations in America and Britain and places where the law works. You don't have senators and directors being harassed by fellow senators and fellow directors. Only in a chauvinistic country where men run rampant without any checks and balances do these things happen. The chief of staff to the president of Nigeria is a convicted fraud felon in the USA. He ran away from the United States to Nigeria and ran for the House of Reps and won, and today is the chief of staff to the president of our country. The Federal Capital Territory Minister is a major embezzler of funds in Rivers State, and the most significant, besides the president, the most significant election rigging, election violence enforcer in Nigeria. These people I just mentioned are the most influential office holders in Nigeria. As long as we refuse to protest against abnormalities, starting from an election being rigged and us saying nothing about it, to the courts being so corrupt and us saying nothing about it, nothing is going to happen when women are sexually harassed. We're just going to make noise on social media, and it's going to die there. How else do you explain that women in the Senate are supporting the men for frivolous excuses like she went against the rules? The rules need to be challenged. The rules are stacked against women. It's time for women to stand up. And for the youth, you won an election that was stolen from you and you went to sleep. It's time to wake up and address these issues in our country, or they're not going to stop. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, this is Fred Nwankwo coming to you from our studios in Chicago with another edition of Bold Talk on Allen TV. And until next time, good night and God bless.
Tonight I think of my home, the home where I was born. I think of my family and the poor farmhouse we had. There in my home, we had no sophistication. We had no timepiece, the cockcrow and the sun, all we had. Rise early at sunup, we'd go to the farms, drive the monkeys away from the maize farms, and the birds away from the rice farms. Come back home at sundown, sometimes a little later.